you've got fundamental analysis and technical analysis, and the first image that comes to my mind when I think of the fundamentals versus the technicals is tracking. Like if you're into hunting or otherwise, like when I was young, I was part of a program which was outdoor-based schooling, and we used to go out in the bush in Canada for 6 months of the year and just sit there and just track, just look at animals and look at their footprints, and you could tell a lot. You could figure out, well, how heavy they were, what kind of animal they were they going, and by looking at the imprint of what they left behind, broken branches, all that sort of stuff, you can kind of gather a story of what that animal was doing. And therefore, you could kind of make decisions. If you wanted to hunt, you could position yourself upwind and all the rest of it. Or if you just want to take a photo like us, it was kind of like, same thing. So the fundamental the fundamental part of that, I guess I would liken that to understanding the seasons. Is it feeding time, mating time, where you are geographically, all that sort of stuff. So flipping over into the investment spectrum now.
Yep.
Would you say that that's kind of a fair enough analogy for technical versus fundamental analysis? Just say yes, even if you don't agree.
Yes. Humans and animals are unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
So even though you can track all that information, doesn't mean that the animal's going to be there at the end.
That's right.
But you can say, I've done this tracking, I've looked at the evidence, there's a high probability that they will be there.
Gotcha. So really technical analysis then is really all about, it's either confirming what you suspect or it's decreasing the likelihood of making a dumb investment decision, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
my first job, I was meeting with the head of research of this investment bank I was going to be employed with, and I was all excited about the reading I'd done, and I said to him, what do you think of technical analysis? And he said, wash your mouth out.
Is that right?
And some people are very staunchly one way or the other.
Well, we're very tribal, aren't we?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I think for me is that you've got to combine both elements to be the best possible investor you can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about technical analysis for those who don't know what that means. How would you describe what technical analysis is in practice?
Technical analysis is a study of past price action and behavior.
Okay. Why would you use that technical analysis? Is it really just as a kind of like a micro indicator to indicate whether or not?
There's two reasons why you're doing it. The first reason is to understand what's happened.
Yeah.
So you can look back at charts for the last, I don't know, for however long, but you can look at a period and you can go, so this is a picture of everything. So it's like a picture of all the data.
Yes.
So you can analyze the past.
Okay.
And by analyzing the past, it can help us predict the future.
Use it as a fund manager. Is it used quite frequently?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I haven't come across that many fund managers that use it as one of their main tools. In fact,
right.
There's lots of fund managers I know who don't even look at charts.
Is that right?
Surprises me, to be honest.
So they're really just a closet
bottom
tracker.
up kind of, yeah.
Right.
But for me, if you're not looking at the charts, you just don't have the full picture.
Okay.
So, in fact, I'd probably be more comfortable to trade technically than I would be to trade. Like if I had to remove one tool, what would I go with?
Yeah.
I'd remove fundamental and just trade on the technicals.
Is that right?
Because that's the reality. That's the price action. That's what the market is. So,
That's right. You're right. It's just data.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of the market.
And the other thing is that you could look at 100 stocks or 100 markets, and sometimes markets aren't really conducive to TA.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
It just doesn't work. Is the
Okay.
easiest way to describe. So I've looked at it for currencies.
Yeah.
I can't make it work.
Right.
There's just too much noise. They're moving around all the time.
Right.
So technical analysis doesn't work that well
Okay.
for currencies.
Okay.
There's a lot of instances where it works well for stocks, individual stocks.
Right.
Yeah, particularly if it's a sort of a small or mid-cap stock I've found, which is the case where there's not that many people following it.
Yeah.
And it can trend
Okay.
for a long period of time, and you can just trade with the trend.
Gotcha. And it goes
Provided
within a
you're not
certain range.
moving too much volume
Yeah.
as an investor, which is not great if you're a large investor, but as a small investor
Yeah.
and you're just trading small amounts of volume, you can get in and out of the trend. I was looking at one of our stocks that we own, actually, which is a small cap, and it's trended almost in a straight line from about 40 cents to $1.
Okay.
If I was a retail investor and I looked at that, I'd go,
Yeah.
yep, I can trade that trend,
Yeah.
and I'll get out as soon as it breaks.
Reverses. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple A. So I like that comment though that you made around if you had to choose, you'd choose the technical over the fundamental, and it does, like, if you look at it from the perspective of aviation, and I know I'll be stretching it a little bit here because not many people probably have exposure as in flying. Have you ever flown a plane?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Cool. Like, as a, what, have you got your private pilot's license or your?
My dad was a pilot and he wanted me to learn to fly, so
Cool.
but I'd never got my license.
Okay, but you know what I'm talking about here. So
Yeah.
you've got this cockpit where there's a whole bunch of instruments,
Mm.
and one will tell you whether you're going off this way, one will tell you what your rate of descent is,
Yep.
your horizon, your altitude, your speed of gain, all that sort of stuff. But sometimes it doesn't feel like it's quite right. Sometimes your body will tell you stuff that isn't quite right. It might feel like you're rolling, but you're really not. And that's why people will often, if they're flying by VFR or visual flight rules, akin to, I guess, fundamentals, sometimes the environment can be quite misleading.
Yeah.
So you really need that combination. But yeah, ultimately you could go strict instrument.
Instrument only.
Yeah.
And the thing about, fundamental analysis is people will say, oh, yeah, but I've got the numbers. Well, actually, you don't, because when you're buying an investment, it's not about what it's done, right? It's not about how much profit it made last year. It's about how much profit it makes this year. And you don't know that information. Nobody knows that information. So how is that any more valuable to you as an investor than it is to use technicals? Because you just simply do not know how much Facebook's going to make in 5 years' time.
That's right. Because that's the argument, I guess, that a purist in that fundamental camp would have, right?
Yeah.
Which is really quite closely aligned to the passive strategy.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just look at good fundamentals. We'll choose our stocks, and this is what it's always done based on fundamentals. Let's allocate in that space and leave it alone. But like you say, it's about making active decisions and getting down to the technical price movements, understanding patterns. Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome.